Okay, let's talk creatine. Maybe you've seen it at the gym. Maybe you think it's just for meatheads trying to get bigger. But here's what most people, and honestly, most doctors, completely miss. Creatine is one of the most well-researched compounds for your brain. We're talking memory, processing speed, depression, concussion recovery, even aging. So today I'm breaking this down into two parts. What creatine actually does for your body and your brain, because if you're only thinking about it as a gym supplement, you're leaving half the benefit on the table. So creatine, the full name is creatine phosphate, and your body actually makes it. Every single day, your liver, kidneys, and pancreas produce about 1 to 2 grams naturally from the amino acids arginine, glycine, and methionine. You also get it from food, primarily red meat and fish. But here's the problem. Most of us don't eat enough of those foods, and cooking actually destroys a significant portion of creatine in meat. So the gap between what the body makes and what it actually needs, especially under stress, during exercise or as you age, is real. Think of creatine like a battery charger for your cells. Your cells run on something called ATP, adenosine triphosphate, your body's primary energy currency. When your cells burn ATP for energy, they're left with ADP, which is a dead battery. Creatine's job is to donate a phosphate group back to the ADP molecule and turn it back into usable ATP. Faster battery recharge, more energy everywhere, including your muscles and your brain. So let's talk about creatine for sports performance. Let's talk about what creatine does in the gym, because this part is actually incredibly well established in the literature. It does 3 things exceptionally well. Number 1, power output. Creatine directly fuels your phosphocreatine system, the energy system your muscles use in explosive, high-intensity efforts like sprinting, heavy lifting, jumping. Studies consistently show creatine increases peak power by 10 to 20% in athletes. Number 2, recovery between sets. Of course, you're resynthesizing ATP faster, your muscles recover between sets more efficiently. You can do more reps, more sets at a higher weight with less rest needed. That's real volume, and volume drives muscle growth. Number 3, muscle cell hydration. Creatine pulls water into the muscle cells. This isn't water weight the way people fear. This is cellular hydration, which is actually anabolic. Hydrated muscle cells have larger protein synthesis rates. Your muscles are literally in a better environment to grow. Now, there's a common myth that I want to address right here. Creatine is not a steroid. It is not a hormonal substance. It does not belong in the same category. It is a naturally occurring compound that your body already produces. The confusion happens because people see results quickly and they assume something nefarious is happening. What's actually happening is your muscles finally have enough fuel. So here's where it gets really interesting, and this is the part I want you to pay close attention to, because even people who have been talking about creatine for years don't know this. Your brain is an energy hog. It accounts for only about 2% of your body weight, but it consumes roughly 20% of your body's total energy. And guess what fuels all of that? ATP. The same currency creatine recharges. So creatine supplementation doesn't just fill your muscles, it crosses the blood-brain barrier and raises creatine levels in your brain tissue as well. And the research on what happens next is genuinely stunning. So memory and cognition, let's discuss that. A 2023 meta-analysis published in Nutritional Neuroscience found that creatine supplementation improved short-term memory and intelligence test performance, particularly in the sleep-deprived and mentally fatigued individuals. Your brain under cognitive stress responds to creatine the same way your muscles respond during exercise. Depression. This is one of that stopped me in my tracks. There's an emerging research, including a randomized controlled trial showing that creatine supplementation may have antidepressant effects, particularly in treatment-resistant depression. The proposed mechanism that depression may partly involve mitochondrial dysfunction and impaired energy metabolism in the brain. Creatine supports that energy production. Traumatic brain injury and concussion. Some of the most compelling research on creatine and the brain comes from TBI and concussion recovery. Studies in pediatric TBI patients showed significantly improved outcomes, including reduced headaches, dizziness, and fatigue in groups supplementing with creatine. The brain tissue that's been injured is metabolically starved. Creatine helps restore its energy reserves. Aging and neurodegeneration. As we age, our bodies naturally decrease in creatine synthesis, and the brain's ability to adapt is decreased. And in the context of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and cognitive aging broadly, we have no definitive answers yet, but mechanistic case is solid that creatine helps. Now, I'm going to be transparent. The brain research on creatine is newer and less established than the sports performance research. The muscle studies have decades of replication behind them. The brain studies are promising, but are still emerging. I'm not telling you creatine cures depression. I'm telling you the science is pointing somewhere very interesting. And if you're only using creatine for biceps, you might be missing the bigger story. So who is most likely to actually be creatine deficient or running suboptimally? Well, in our Montclair functional nutrition practice, I look for these specific patterns. If you're a vegetarian or vegan, you're almost certainly low in creatine. Red meat and fish are your primary dietary sources. Plant foods contain virtually none. Studies show vegetarians have significantly lower muscle creatine stores and see the largest cognitive and physical gains from supplementation. If you're over 50, natural creatine synthesis declines with age and muscle loss, slower recovery, brain fog that you're attributing to just getting older, well, it's worth considering. If you have chronic fatigue or brain fog, especially the kind that doesn't improve with sleep, if your cells can't make ATP efficiently, no amount of rest fully restores you. This is one of the patterns I see again and again clinically. If you're a woman, and this surprises people, women actually have lower baseline creatine stores than men relative to muscle mass. And research suggests that women may see even greater cognitive benefits from supplementation. This is not just a supplement for men. If you're an athlete who's hit a plateau, if you're training hard, eating well, sleeping adequately, and still not progressing the way that you expect, creatine is one of the first things I'd look at. So let's talk about the practical side, because there's a lot of noise around this right now. Creatine monohydrate, full stop. It's the most studied, most bioavailable, least expensive form. Don't let anyone sell you on the creatine HCl or buffered creatine or creatine ethyl ester. The monohydrate has decades of research behind it. Everything else is a marketing play right now. Dosing, 3 to 5 grams per day is the standard evidence-based dose for maintenance. You do not need to load with 20 grams per day for a week. That's an older protocol. Slow and steady loading with 3 to 5 daily gets you to the same saturation point in 3 to 4 weeks. Much easier on your gut. For brain benefits specifically, some researchers are looking at higher doses up to 10 grams per day, but I'd start at 5 grams and see how you respond. Timing, it doesn't matter much. Post-workout may have a slight edge for muscle gains, but honestly, consistency matters far more than timing. Take it when you remember to take it. So with food or without, fine either way. Taking it with a carbohydrate source may slightly improve muscle uptake, but it's not a requirement. Side effects, the most commonly reported one is GI discomfort, usually when people load with large doses. At 3 to 5 grams, most people have zero side effects. The weight gain you hear about, that's mostly intramuscular water. It's not fat. It's actually beneficial. So what I personally use and recommend for patients, I look for pharmaceutical grade creatine monohydrate from brands that third party test for purity. In our practice, we carry Designs for Health, but we also acknowledge that there are many other very good product lines. Now, as functional nutrition practitioner, the question I'm always asking is just, should you just take creatine? It's what's happening in your cells that makes creatine relevant for you specifically. Like, why do you need it? Because creatine doesn't work in isolation. It works in the context of your mitochondrial function, your methylation pathways, your hormonal status. It all has to come together. If you have chronic fatigue and you start creatine and you don't feel better, that's information. It tells me we need to look deeper at your MTHFR, your B12 levels, your mitochondrial function. Everything in your body is connected. If you're in the Montclair, New Jersey area and you're dealing with fatigue, brain fog, athletic plateaus, or just feeling like your body isn't performing the way it should, that's exactly what we do in our office. We don't guess, we test, and we look at the whole picture. So the link to book a consultation is in our description, in our link tree, and all our links are in there. If you've learned something today, especially that creatine is so much more than a gym supplement, please hit the like button. It generally helps this channel reach more people who need this information. Subscribe if you haven't already. We go deep on supplements, functional nutrition, and the stuff your regular doctor doesn't have time to cover. And I'll see you the next week for our next deep dive. Have a great day and enjoy.